The single most important financial decision most Americans will ever make takes about 4 minutes online. Most people spend more time choosing a restaurant. I don't say that to be critical. I say it because the tools available for this decision were built to answer the wrong question. Here is the question most calculators answer. If I claim Social Security at 62 instead of 70, what age must I reach before waiting pays off? That sounds reasonable, but that framing has a serious flaw. It treats Social Security timing as a personal gamble against your own death. Win if you live long enough, lose if you don't. That is not how a retirement income system actually works. And it is not how real financial risk is distributed across a lifetime. Let me show you what I mean. The break-even calculation ignores 3 things that often matter more than the break-even age itself. The first is what happens to a surviving spouse when the higher earner dies. The second is what the claiming decision does to your tax position for decades. The third is what the system itself may look like when you need it most. Let me start with the survivor question. This is the one that most fundamentally changes the math for couples. When one spouse dies, the household does not keep 2 Social Security checks. It keeps one, the larger of the 2. The smaller check disappears permanently. So if the higher earner claimed early and locked in a reduced benefit, that reduction does not end at death. It follows the surviving spouse for the rest of their life. In practical terms, the higher earner's claiming age sets 2 incomes, their own, while both are alive, and their spouses, potentially for a decade or 2 after they are gone. I have seen this described as widow insurance. That is actually a very accurate description. The decision is not just about how much you collect. It is about what income floor the person most likely to outlive you will have. At 84, at 89, at 93. Those are the years when options narrow, medical costs rise, the ability to supplement income with work disappears, and a permanently smaller check becomes a permanent problem. Now let me turn to the tax dimension. This is where most people leave significant money on the table without realizing it. If you retire before you claim Social Security, you enter a window that most financial plans treat as a problem. No paycheck, no benefits yet, just drawing down savings. But here is a different way to look at that window. For many people, those years represent the lowest tax bracket they will occupy for the rest of their lives. Think about what happens after age 73. Social Security is flowing every month. Required minimum distributions begin pulling money out of traditional IRAs and 401ks. Whether you need that money or not, if those accounts have grown substantially, the forced withdrawals can push you into a higher tax bracket than when you were working. That is not a hypothetical. That is a structural feature of how these accounts work. During the early retirement window, before benefits start, you have a genuine opportunity. You can take controlled withdrawals from pre-tax accounts at lower tax rates. You can execute Roth conversions while your taxable income is still modest. Every year you delay turning Social Security on extends that window. Every year you turn it on early closes it faster. This is the connection that most people miss. The claiming age is not just a monthly payment decision. It is a tax architecture decision for the next 20 years. Now there is a related issue that most Social Security conversations skip entirely. If you retire before age 65, you are not yet eligible for Medicare. That gap, sometimes 5, 7, even 10 years, has to be filled with private health insurance. And private coverage for a 60-year-old without an employer is not cheap. Depending on income, it can run $1,000 to $2,000 a month or more. But here is the detail that changes everything. If your reportable income falls below a certain threshold in those pre-Medicare years, you may qualify for substantial health insurance subsidies. Those subsidies can be worth $15,000, $20,000, even $24,000 a year. And the moment your income crosses that threshold through a large IRA withdrawal or early Social Security, you can lose those subsidies entirely. This creates a real tension most retirement models never show you. The Roth conversion strategy that reduces your long-term tax bill can simultaneously eliminate subsidies you need right now. There is no universal answer to that tension, but it is a real variable. And ignoring it produces plans that look good on paper and fall apart in practice. Now, I want to address something that rarely gets said directly. The assumptions built into Social Security timing advice assume the system pays what it is currently scheduled to pay. That assumption deserves scrutiny. The Social Security Trust Fund faces a projected funding shortfall within roughly the next decade. If Congress does not act, current law would require automatic benefit reductions of roughly 20 to 25%. I am not predicting that will happen. Historically, Congress has always adjusted the program before cuts took effect, but those adjustments have typically applied to future claimants, not current ones. That pattern suggests something worth noting. People who delay claiming carry more legislative exposure than people who have already locked in a benefit. That is not an argument for claiming at 62, but it is a variable that belongs in the analysis, and most calculators omit it completely. Let me now bring this together. The situations where claiming earlier genuinely makes sense are real. The first is clear, serious health conditions that meaningfully reduce expected longevity. If a physician has indicated your life expectancy is materially shorter than average, the math changes. The second is genuine financial necessity, not preference, necessity. If delaying creates real hardship or forces you into high-interest debt, stability now outweighs optimization later. The third is when your pre-tax balances are modest. The tax window strategy depends on having something to convert or withdraw. If those balances are small, the value of preserving that window is also small. The final situation applies to the lower earner in a couple. If the higher earner is on track to delay, the lower earner often has genuine flexibility to claim earlier, without undermining the household's long-term security. Here is the frame I find most useful. Social Security is not a savings account. You are not recovering contributions. You are purchasing a stream of income, inflation-adjusted, guaranteed by the federal government, for as long as you or your spouse is alive. The question is not when you break even. The question is, what income floor do you want in your 80s and 90s? And what is the most efficient way to fund everything before that floor kicks in? For people with substantial pre-tax savings, the gap years are not a burden. They are the most powerful tax planning window they will ever have. For couples, the higher earner's claiming age is not a personal decision. It is a life insurance policy written in the form of a monthly check. And for everyone, single, married, early retiree, or late retiree, this decision deserves more than 4 minutes and a break-even calculator. It deserves a complete picture. Most people never get one. That is what I wanted to give you today.